Hello, welcome back to the Mongodb live stream. So with me, I have two special guests. I have the star of the hour, Abik Ray, who's going to be talking about an app that he's been building with MongoDB. I also have our new developer relations intern, Anaya. Before we jump into introductions and figure out what's going on today, let me go over some logistical stuff. So we are live. Engage with us in the chat. We are paying attention to the chat. We'll answer your questions. With that said as well, if there are any kind of audio issues, any kind of video issues, drop that in the chat too. So that way we can work to correct it. Other than that, let's start with Anaya, and maybe you want to give an introduction on who you are and what you're up to.
Yeah, hi you guys. So my name is Anaya Raisingani. I'm currently the new intern. I started 2 days ago. Super excited to be working at MongoDB. I think everyone should apply. Um, I go to the University of Southern California and I'm currently getting my master's.
Awesome. And Abik.
Hey, I'm Abik. I'm a sophomore at Robbinsville High School. And yeah, I go interested in music, big on marching band and jazz band. Also, for you robotics guys out there, I'm a member of Team Nemesis 2590. So go Nemesis.
Awesome. And how long have you been using MongoDB, Abik? You said you're a sophomore, right?
Yeah, I'm a sophomore. I'm 16 recently.
That's pretty impressive.
Super impressive.
How long have you been coding for?
Coding. So obviously, like, I'm a student, right? So coding is like a hobby. I think like the first probably like line of code I wrote was like probably in like sixth grade from some random Python book. But so I started getting more serious about it in like seventh, eighth, ninth grade, like in my free time, if I have an idea or if I interested in something, obviously. I think everybody has like a similar like upbringing, kind of. But yeah. But as for like MongoDB, I started using MongoDB like around this year. Like I've heard of it for a while, but haven't like touched it really until this year. I started trying to learn more about like backend technologies, and
How
then I'm
did
here
you
today.
hear about how did you hear about
What was that?
MongoDB?
How did I hear about MongoDB? Um, on that's a good question. Probably, I think I've so obviously there's so I like to do like web stuff, right? That's kind of just what I've learned, and there's a bunch of like popular different stacks that people talk about, right? There's like mean stack, mern stack, that type of stuff. And then I just type into Google, right? Just learning about it, right? Just learning like what in the world it is, and then that's probably how the name got in my head in the first place.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
Well, why don't you tell us about what you've been working on as far as this app? I know you demoed it to me a few weeks ago, and it was pretty impressive. Did you want to share your screen and give everyone a demo before we talk into it?
Yeah. Sure. Okay.
All right, I'm currently sharing your
So
screen.
okay, hold up. Let me pull up my mobile side as well here. Okay, so I'll just while I'm getting this set up. So I'm building a mobile slash desktop app. Wait, hold up. Okay, this is kind of hard to talk over while I'm setting this up, but
It's all good.
right. So I'm building a mobile and desktop client app where the whole idea is that you can share files with yourself and transfer different files and data between yourself, which I think definitely has its own use case because there's like, well, personally speaking, there's a ton of times where I've just wanted to send myself something like the main goal is like between devices, right? So if you get like a text message or something, like so let's say someone just sends you a YouTube link, right? You know, like sometimes you're at your setup, right? So why would I watch it on my phone? You want to send it to yourself on your computer. So what are you gonna do? Email it to yourself? That doesn't seem very practical, right? So the whole idea is that the name I've been working with is Relay, so that's what I've been calling the app, Relay. So Relay gives
Sure.
you a platform to quickly send yourself images, text, links, files quickly to yourself, and gives it in a way that you could like interact with it simply. So I have my phone on my screen right now. This
Yep.
yeah. Okay. So this is the desktop side. This is the mobile side. I'm just sharing from my actual iPhone. So over here, so there's 3 buttons on the side. I'll just go over this one first. So this lets you write a text message to yourself. So we're gonna go with the classic hello world. Send, and then it shows up in your feed. If I tab into my mobile side, it also shows up. And then you could also copy something from your clipboard. So if I'm just gonna copy part of this, Control C, boom,
Is
it
that a
sends it
mobile
straight
app
from
or
you.
is that a mobile website?
Okay, so so this is a mobile app, right? It's literally on my iPhone. So what I'm using React Native for the mobile side, and specifically I'm using Expo. So and Expo has tools that let you literally play the like if I hold up my phone to the camera, like this is literally what's on my phone. So Expo lets you run your app on your actual phone. There's like for me, there's some hardware issues for like using emulators for some reason. I blame my really old motherboard in it, but um, right. So I came to the conclusion of just using Expo for it, mostly because of this feature. And I'm just casting my mobile screen, my like iPhone screen to my desktop screen right now. So what you see is literally the app in action. Right?
No, this
Yeah.
is awesome. So I interrupted you before, so keep going, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. So you could send like text to yourself. You could also send links to yourself. So if I tab over, let me just find. I'm gonna use this. So so on my other monitor, I have a link copied to my clipboard. Boom, I could send it to myself easily, and then it's on my phone. And then if I go on my phone, I could click the message to like copy it to my clipboard, or if I hold it down, it's gonna try to open the app. So that's the link that I sent to myself. Um, and it like the idea is that you want to be able to quickly use it, right? So if you're like emailing it to yourself, or what I like to do, I like to Discord it to myself. Um, like it's really annoying because there's always like a process to draft the message, like choose who you're sending it to, and then like going on like scrolling, trying finding it. Like it's a whole process, right? The idea is to not make it a process and make it easy and simple and quick. And also you could send like images to yourself. So if I go on the mobile side, I click this red image button on the bottom. I could go click it, and then I could send something like a picture of my G Fuel, upload my image, and then boom, it's on both sides. I could click to
Wow.
actually look at it, and
Faster.
then yeah, that's the idea. Yeah, right now I'm storing all the images and stuff on S3, and I think moving forward, I want to try to put it on a CDN to make it quicker, like everywhere, because I know like the big apps, the big apps that I use always use CDNs, and I've tried to can't talk. I've been looking into that a bit recently, uh, so I think that's like future step. But
This is such an amazing idea. As I think it's pronounced Luce Carter said in the chat, this is so impressive. I wish I could code things this cool in high school. Great job. And honestly, so true. Like this is such a great idea. I have to email myself stuff all the time and like I have texts with myself where I send myself like Zoom links and everything, and it is such a pain. So this is
Do the same
fantastic.
thing.
yeah, like okay, so like my friends and I, we like to Zoom, right? Just
Mhm.
something we do, right? So whenever so we iMessage is our main platform, right? So whenever we try to invite someone else who's not in the group chat, just as a guest, right? We just like send them the link, and then like always 5 minutes later, I get sent that link on Discord because he's just trying to send it to himself on his computer, and I like
Mhm.
it. It's just really strange, right? Like yeah, I think it's a micro problem that everybody has, but
Yep.
everybody's been quote unquote fine with.
Yeah, I've been using Handoff on my Mac. for my iPhone. But the problem is I'm also on a Windows computer, which I think you are on right now. So I mean, I can't just use handoff between Windows and Apple devices. So this is definitely valuable. It's
Yeah.
cross-platform.
Okay, yeah, that's like also one of the main things. I know like Mac has AirDrop, or like, not just Mac, but
Yeah,
Apple in general
is
has
it AirDrop?
AirDrop.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah,
Sorry, I was calling it
and
handoff. I think it's AirDrop.
yeah, I know my brother uses AirDrop because he's one of the people who has an iPhone and a Mac. Unfortunately, a lot of people aren't like that. Like Android is all like huge, Windows computers are huge, and like you have to seclude yourself to the Apple ecosystem if you want to use AirDrop, like between your computer and your phone. And so the idea is that you don't have to do that right now. I know there's another app called HP Quick Drop, which is like I think it's specific to HP computers, which I found was like a little bit more like narrow, but yeah, the idea is like anybody can use it. That's like also kind of why I used the tools I did. So, okay, so this desktop app is it's an Electron app that's also built with React. So, and Electron is just like a native desktop thing, right? And then React Native, obviously, it's cross-platform. So that kind of solved the problem of like Android and iOS like being multi-platform. So that like those two things kind of tied into each other.
That's awesome.
Very
Are you
cool.
able to show us how it works? Some of the inner workings of this application, Abik?
Yeah. So I have my stuff here. So okay. So there's like three like main project files, right? So we have obviously the server, the um, desktop side, and the mobile side. So I'll kind of just I think first I'll just walk through the server. So it's okay. So you can see this, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm posting a question in the chat to make sure that it's large enough.
Okay. Yeah. So on the server side of things, I'm using Node and Express, the classic, right? This whole thing is built in JavaScript pretty much. So right, and also I'm using GraphQL for this. Um, yeah, so we have a GraphQL API and it's built in Node, and most importantly, MongoDB, right? I have an Atlas collection for this. So if I have to bring it over here, right? So I have my Atlas cluster over here. So
Yeah.
I think I'll yeah. So going
Can
over
you zoom
the
on this page though? This one's pretty small.
yep. All good.
One more. Maybe make it
One more.
150. 150%. It's
Gotcha.
usually a sweet number. There you go.
All right. Yeah. So right. So this is my collection or my database. Right. We have two collections. There's a users collection with our super secret passwords. It's not encrypted yet, but and then we have the posts collection. So the users collection, uh, it's okay. So we just have an ID, a username, email, password. So I haven't okay. So within the app, I haven't gone to like the authentication authorization parts yet. So this is this is looking a little bare, but like that's all right. The most important thing right here is just the user ID that we have, and then going into our posts. This is it's our post that we just created. So we have like an individual post ID for everything, which is unique to itself, right? And then we have the associated user ID. I just saw the chat. I was thinking that was his real password.
My
What
passwords
did
are
I
almost as
put?
secure as yours.
QWERTY and the classic. Unfortunately, this is not my real password. You can go try. Okay, yeah. Okay, going back to what I was talking about, right? Yeah, so we also have the user ID binded to the post. So right, so a post is like conscientious of which user like posted it, right? And then we have the type of post it is, the content of the post. So it could be a link, it could be a text, and for in the case of images, it's a Amazon S3 link. So this is just in the S3 bucket, I think they call them. And then
So
we have
you
the
actually
sender.
uploading the images to S3? from the
Yeah,
app?
yeah. Let me pull that up. Right. So here I have the. Oh, it's kind of laggy, but we have the S3 bucket, which took forever to set up, but we got it.
Yeah.
And this is just storing all the images, and then
Very cool.
they're being served just on the URL. And then we have
About
the sender. What was
about
that?
how long did it take for you to like finish this from idea to this point?
It's a good question. So I think I've been probably I think I had the idea for a while before I actually like started working on it. But I think I've been working on this for around I'll say like a month in my free time. Um
Only a month?
well, okay.
That's
It's not
I
bad.
think so, yeah.
that's really
I
impressive.
could probably check GitHub to see like when like actual like when the first commit was. But yeah, I
Mhm.
would say a month.
Wow. I thought you were gonna say like at least 6 months or something. That's awesome. This looks fantastic.
I'm flattered. Yeah. Okay, so that's like the Atlas side of things, and then if we tab back into VS Code. So this is all right. So this is the master code, right? Um, so so I'm using GraphQL for this. So that's how I'm querying the data, right? So this is not running on REST, and okay. So I think first I'll just talk over like the GraphQL side. So this is the type defs, right? So we have two main queries that's actually being used. So we have the create post. Oh, well, okay, queries. So we get post by user ID. So the whole idea is you pass in a user ID, and then it's gonna feed all the posts back from that user. And then we have a users query, which queries by username. So if I could open GraphQL Playground up here, right? So this is Playground from GraphQL. I'm using Apollo as well, so that's why I have access to this. Um, like I think Apollo is
Sure.
like a specific instance of GraphQL. Uh, so if I hit this, right? So this is kind of how the query is structured. So it's
Can
taking
you
the
zoom in
user
just
ID.
slightly?
Oh yeah, I forgot.
All
Can go
good.
to 150. Okay,
Perfect.
right, right. So this is what the query looks like. We're taking the user ID as a parameter, and then this is how we're getting it returned. So we get the content, the type of the content, and then the sender. So over here we're passing in the user ID for I think this is Joe. I have two users and I don't keep track of them. But we're getting all of Joe's posts, even though it says my name on there. But um, reading it like that, and then I could put the other user ID in, and then so if I go over here, I could get this one. I think. Wait, let me access to it. If I
So
go
since you're using
here.
Apollo and you rolled your own GraphQL API, did you look into what MongoDB has to offer regarding GraphQL at all? The built-in GraphQL support?
Um, so I have like a little bit, but one thing I did look at a lot was Realm, which I know has a bunch of
Yeah,
GraphQL integrations, and I had I had a whole tangent with Realm. Um, so
sure.
yeah, I think at one point I wanted to use Realm in my app, but unfortunately, Expo, which is what I'm using my mobile side with, Expo doesn't have like the Realm libraries, which I'm still
Ah, makes
waiting for.
sense.
I'm still waiting for them to get on that. Uh, but I really would have loved to use Realm. I think it would have made a lot of things
Yeah,
like a lot
sure.
simpler. Um, and yeah, so I think I don't know if I pasted the new user ID, and then obviously so I ran the query again, and this is empty because we only have our posts for Joe over here. Um, so you could query with different user IDs. Um, and then if I go back, right, we also have a users query, which is just going to return a list of all the users. And oh, whoops, I just dropped my phone. So we could like pass in a username, and then that's going to give all our users. And then for our mutations, we have two main ones. We have a create post mutation, and then a clear user post mutation. So our create post is like the main one, right? So you can pass in the type of the post, the content, the sender, and the user ID. It basically matches what you saw in Atlas, right? Except it
Yep.
gives itself its own ID when you actually go like run it. So you just pass in these 4 things, and it's gonna add to the database. And then we have clear user posts. This just the name is pretty specific, right? It literally will clear all the posts from the user. To be honest, I just use that one in testing. Like if I'm testing and there's like a million things in there, I just run that. But at some point, I'm probably gonna have to create just a clear post, which is to just delete a post. Oh, whoops.
Yeah, when you do a purge with GraphQL, is it purging it from S3 as well?
No. So that's actually yeah. So the S3 thing has like 100 files in it, which obviously that's we don't want that. So that's another thing on the to-do list to clear from S3 as well. I'm like
Sure.
it's passing in as the object like file URL. So I imagine I can use that to clear it, like to find where on the like bucket it is, and then yeah, get rid of it from there. And yeah, this is like a outline for the data, right? So we have a post object, which has everything that you saw from Atlas, and then we have a user object. And then if we go back here, not there, here, so this is our resolver, right? So so this is what the user query like actually does, right? So it's going in and it's filtering it by username, and then we are returning that, and then same by the post by user ID. So it's just finding it's like searching based off the ID, and then that gets returned in this error function. With create post, I forgot to get rid of that, but it's okay. We're gonna keep those. Right. So it creates an object ID, and then it's gonna insert it into the database based off the like data that's being passed in over here, right? So post insert one, and then like ID, user ID, type, content, sender, and then we with clear user post, we're just going in and then removing everything with the associated user ID.
That's great.
Yeah. So yeah, okay. So here I have like I have the database and then all the collections, and then I'm also to like get the real time aspect for the desktop side of things. I'm also using change streams. So where is it? I have this post stream. Oh yeah, I'm also using. I don't think I mentioned this. So this is also using sockets to like in conjunction with change streams, right? So what happens is that it captures the like socket connection, and then so we have a change stream right over here, post stream, and then so basically whenever something gets added to the posts, we're gonna like tell the like clients that there's a new post. So what happens is whenever so on the client side, whenever the user loads up the app, it's gonna put them in a room in sockets. Like it's gonna put them in a room that's just associated with their user ID. So we literally pass in the user ID, and then it's just gonna join a room with the user ID as a string, and then we're just logging it. So this is just a testament. So the client is in the room, and then what's gonna happen is that whenever you do make a post, it's gonna notify everything in the room that there is a new post. So like you have refresh, right? So yeah, it's gonna update. It's gonna re-render the feed.
So let me ask you a few questions just for clarity purposes here. So because we're using change streams, if we were to go ahead and add a new record inside of MongoDB Atlas directly, something that doesn't have a socket connection, any device that's connected to your backend will be able to receive that change, right?
Um,
Did that make sense?
y- yeah. So right. So you can go in Atlas directly, right? So what happens is
Yeah.
it looks at the document. Um, okay. So what gets passed? So it's gonna look at the post, right? Whenever
Yep.
you like add it in, right? So it's gonna look at the user ID associated with that post, like even if you add it from Atlas, and then it's just gonna emit to that room. So as long as there's a client connected in that room, you're gonna see that.
Got it. Oh, this is great.
Yeah. Um. So I think that uh that's pretty much how the like server side of things is. It's like pretty simple so far because mostly it's just like mostly we just need to get things from one place to another, right? So that's how that's going. And then if we go on to let's go on to the desktop side of things. So over here, this is the desktop client, right? So this was made
Yeah.
in React and Electron, and I'm also using Chakra UI to help with styling. So if I go over here,
Does your React application does your React native application and your Electron application share the same code?
no, but it's very similar.
Very similar, all
Like
right?
a lot of the things are like pretty reusable because it's accomplishing the same thing, right? And then obviously like we
Yep.
want the like consistencies in the UI. So okay, so going at a general overview, so we app.jsx, right? So uh, okay, let me pull this up just so I could like compare it side by side. But so okay, so right now we're only using this path, right? So we for the UI, it's pretty simple, right? So we just have like this little sidebar and then like the main feed. So if we go back in desktop, yes. So components.
I feel like I have to ask, what flavor of G Fuel is that?
Okay, so in the picture, that's the A drive one. I think I forgot what it's called. It has like blueberries and like lemonade
All
like
right.
on the. I could just here. I have it right next to me. There's the tub.
There you go.
Yeah. Today I had this one though, the
Product
Wampa fruit.
plugs.
Exactly. Not intentional, but yeah.
It's all good.
Um, I mean, it looks pretty good, right? So, uh,
Yeah.
okay. So here are the okay. So this is the like code for the buttons on the side, right? So I'm I think the text one's the most simple one to go over, right? So obviously we have our imports. So the text one, just to like refresh, it just opens up the like pop up, and then you have the input, and then you have the send. So, whoops, that's the server. Right. So we're using Chakra UI to handle the input, like the pop up stuff, right? Because obviously they give you the tools for it, so might as well take advantage of it. And then we're keeping track of the text and just within the state of the component. And then so if I actually go down to what's being rendered, we have the modal, right? So the pop up. We just have our like input tag. The on change is using the input handle method, and this is basically just updating the state of the component, right? So I keep tapping into the wrong thing. So right. So if you just type in, it's gonna update the state of the pop up, and then uh right. So okay, so that's like part of the component, and then we also have the actual icon itself over here. So we're just using image for that, which right. And, okay, yeah, the URL is actually on Discord. Ironically enough, probably should change that, but yeah, that's where the image is. And then so what's happening is that so we also make our server requests in here, right? So whenever we press the send button, obviously it's sending the all the content associated for making a post. to the server. So over here we are defining our create post mutation, right? So so again, I'm using Apollo, so that's why I have access to the use mutation hook and stuff. So what's happening is that we have our mutation defined here for create post, and then sorry, what we're doing is that whenever we actually hit the button, right, so it calls send post. What send post is going to do is first it's going to look at the content to see if it's just text or if it's actually URL. So what you could be doing is you could have just a random link. So if I just go on youtube.com or something, I get the link and then I paste it here. If I send it like that, it's gonna recognize that it's a link and apply the associated styling, and then correspond in the database whether this is text or a link. So it sees if it's a link or just a piece of text. We do a quick log, and then we make the request to the database, or not the request, the post to the database, and then we're just passing in everything. The user IDs right now, just for testing development code, it's just just doing it straight to Joe. Eventually, I want to use the context API to see which user is logged in, and then appropriately fix that. But right now we're just doing it to Joe's account, and then we close the pop-up after you send the post.
That's great. What would you say took you the longest? Like which part?
Which part?
Mhm.
So honestly, okay, so this is my first time using the GraphQL stuff. So I think just getting that first step of like writing a proper mutation, and then having it actually work just for the first time took quite a bit. And then obviously when that when that got done, everything else went really smoothly because I could just reuse this, right? The same create post method. You'll see this block of code within the other things right here. So I probably could make it public to all these components, but even for the clipboard icon, these follow a very similar format, right? So so instead of a pop-up, the clipboard icon just sends it straight like uh to the database. There's no extra middle ground. So we're using the same mutation we have from earlier, and then so this component is just it's basically just an image, and then right, we're serving it, and then on click we're reading from the clipboard from using Electron, and then we're doing the same thing. We're seeing if is it a link or is it a piece of text, and then we're same flow. We're just creating a post. The clipboard one and the text components are they're very similar.
Great, that's awesome. And then we also have a question from the Z Phoenix. What is your favorite moment of the development of the project?
My favorite moment. It's a good question. I think I think my favorite moment was getting S3 to work, because honestly, I think before I went to it, that was the part I was most scared for. Because I haven't prior to that, I have not touched any of the Amazon, the AWS stuff before, and I was kind of scared too. And then after a while, when that finally worked, then we were chilling, because I think the tutorials online I've been finding for it, it seems like a lot of work. And then when we got that to work, then I was happy.
That's awesome. Was this your first time using MongoDB?
No, I've used it once before in a hackathon that my friend and I we actually won that. And
Congrats.
Makes sense considering this app is so awesome right here.
yeah, we went really extra for that. It was supposed to be 24 hours. Yeah, 24 hours I think, and we ended up building a full stack Python game when we probably didn't need to go that in depth. I actually the person who asked the question, the Z Phoenix, he was the one I actually worked on it with.
There
Oh,
you go.
cool.
Called Production
Welcome.
Video. Yeah. Yeah. So that was definitely my favorite part, getting things to work.
That's
Great.
always
This
the
And
this
best
is
then
feeling.
fantastic.
yeah, thank you. And
Is
then
there
moving
anything
on.
else that you wanted to show us regarding this? There's still the mobile component, right?
Yeah. Okay. Before I move on to that, there's also like a
Yeah.
drag and drop thing here. So I just pulled up a random picture. Uh, off of Google. I could just what?
That's a random search right there.
Yeah, I don't know why. That was just the first thing that came to mind. It's a real use case, right? Okay, so I could just I could save something and then I wanted to show the drag and drop part. So
Sure.
drag, drop, boom, and
Wow.
then
Nice.
Wow. That's really
yeah,
cool.
yeah. So that's the like yeah AWS, right? So that's a like image upload part from there, and then we also do have the mobile side. If I could find that, oh, it's all the way down here. Okay, so right, so this was built using Expo and React Native. So let me.
And just one more
Okay,
time, because I personally have never heard of Expo before. Um, you said this is the UI layer for React Native, a common UI theming library, or maybe
so
shed
I
some
don't
light
think
into that.
yeah. So um, I'm not also like 100 like this is also my first time using React Native, but
Sure.
so as far as I'm aware, like whenever you go to build a React Native project, you can either use the like React Native CLI or Expo. I think Expo is like a wrapper for your React Native project, and it gives you additional like utilities. Um, one of them being like the like Expo app that lets you play your thing on your phone, like on your actual phone rather than emulator. And Expo like also provides additional tools like for like looking through your camera roll, for example, and like different ways like different like libraries basically. Um, so that's kind of where that's coming from. And
Got it.
then okay, yeah. So okay, so yeah, right here we have app.js, right? So um, okay, so login isn't actually a thing yet, but so okay, so right over here we have a screen that's wrapped over in our Apollo provider for our database, our GraphQL stuff, and then we have our user provider, which gives us information about the current user that's logged in. So if I open up the user provider, uh, a user context, yeah. So this is using React context for us to share state between different components. So we're basically just sharing the user across our whole app so we can get easy access to the user ID. So I'll just jump straight into like the main thing, which is body.js. So if I could actually bring the mobile thing back up, like to show exactly what I'm talking about.
Yes, please.
Yeah. Okay. Give me a second. I'm just loading it up on my phone.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah. Okay. So the mobile side is broken down into two main components. We have the body, which is this like stream of posts, and then we have the action panel, which is basically what I just called these three buttons down here. This, like the little menu at the bottom. So body, what it is so first thing we do is we make a request to get the post by user ID. So we get all the posts when the component loads in, right? Using the use query hook that Apollo gives us. We're passing in the user ID, and then what's happening is that gets stored, and then we're basically just putting that in a flat list that from React Native, and it's basically just yeah, that it's spitting out all the. Let me tab back in. It's spitting out all the posts with the correct styling and everything, based off like the type of the post, right? So if it's a URL post versus a text post, If it's an image, it's obviously going to show the image. So yeah, that's in essence how body works. And then we also write this just the title. And yeah, okay, I don't know if I actually showed this, but you tab back into it. So obviously you could click on the thing to actually view it. You could also, you can't really see me holding down on the image, but if you hold down on the image, it'll actually like save to your camera roll. So that's part of the like image component, right? So okay, and then I guess going on to the action panel. So here we have the animations. Let me go down. Right. So the action panel is it's basically serving these three components. So we have the clipboard icon, the photo icon, and the text icon, which again are just the three buttons at the bottom. If you go into text icon, okay, so this is the actual image, right? And then we can click on it, and then when you do click on that, it's going to bring on the text writer component, which is very similar to the desktop one, right? So like the way it works is it's basically just let me show it on the screen. It's basically just an input field over here with a submit button. So again, you see this block of code to like create the post. It's the same in React Native and React because well, it's just Apollo, right? So it's the exact same thing. So right. So what we're doing is when you actually click on the next button, it's gonna just make the create post request. So yeah, you can see that right here. It does the same thing where it checks if it's a URL or a piece of text, and then based off that, it's gonna store in a variable and then do the create post, and then it gives a
Cool.
little pop up. Yeah, and
And
then
then just to confirm, ideally one day instead of hard coding these values to
yeah,
represent, you're gonna have auth and all of that good stuff, right?
yeah, obviously, unless everybody is just using a big iPhone. But yeah, especially with the like user ID stuff, like I've never worked with the auth stuff before too, so that's gonna be a learning curve. So right now I'm just straight up passing the user ID. Like I haven't worked out the like login screens or like any of the login stuff yet. I think I mainly just want to focus on the functionality of the app first, right? Like login isn't really my priority right now, although like that is approaching. So I'm gonna have to eventually like learn about that and work on that.
It's good that
So
you're taking it step by step, though.
yeah,
Yeah,
I don't want
that's
to
awesome.
like do too much at once.
Yeah, don't overwhelm yourself. This is fantastic.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and then clipboard icon, just like with the desktop side, like it's very similar. It basically just instead of reading from an input, it's just reading straight from the clipboard on your phone. It works the exact same way as the desktop side. And then with the image picker, oh yeah, so this you see some of the AWS stuff. So I'm using a library to help things out. Where is it? Okay, React Native S3. This thing saved me so much time. So it's basically so I'm actually using like two main libraries for this. One is a Expo library that well okay let me actually show it on the screen so you know what I'm talking about. So there's like one library to help with this like I don't know what it's actually called this menu basically with like all of your posts from your camera roll, right, that lets you like select different ones. So that's a library. Oh oops, keep dropping my phone. um right, so it shows that photo. Wait, I'm on the So that's image picker.js. That like pop-up menu. That's image picker. So what happens when you photo icon when you click it, it's gonna do show image picker. So then it makes this component visible, and then right. So we have the classic create post, and then so what? Okay. So what it's gonna do is so we have this component. It's called asset selector, which is it's the library. So we have like all the styling and everything, right? So whenever you, so this is the library that helps like pick all the images, and then whenever you hit the like select or done button, it's gonna call this method, and it's basically gonna go in and it's gonna look at the extension of the like file you picked, and it's gonna like format the name properly, and then after like it does that, we're gonna send it to S3, and then if it fails, obviously we're gonna throw an error, and then otherwise we're gonna create the post and send it to the database with the S3 response of the URL for the image.
Cool.
I think, yeah, I think I said this like at the beginning, but I think eventually I want to try to like use a CDN for this, because I think one important part of the app is that it needs to be fast, and I think a CDN like helps with that, right? Like because you have multiple different places that the image is being served.
Yep.
So instead of instead of everybody waiting on this random image from like I think it's stored in like Virginia or something, but yeah.
I'm not 100% positive on this, but I think you can hook up what is it, CloudFront with S3 or Cloud.
Yeah,
I don't know the exact name of it, but it's a CDN that Amazon
Cloudflare.
offers.
Oh yeah.
Not
Oh yeah.
Cloudflare.
Okay.
There's an Amazon CDN that pairs with S3. I can't remember the name of it.
I think
I
CloudFront.
don't know.
I think you're right,
Is it
but
CloudFront?
I'm not too sure myself, but I think it is. Yeah, like that type of thing. I'm definitely gonna have to like look into more. I just mostly just cared about getting it done. um, that's a version 2 thing.
This is
So
another great question we have. Do you have any ideas for any future projects after this one ends?
future projects. Already thinking ahead. Um, uh, not really like off the top of my head. I probably like had some ideas in passing and then forgot about them. But I think like right after I finish this one, I want to like maybe rest a bit and maybe like update this like a little bit like as I go on. But as for right now, not really.
Very cool. So do you have any other ideas for things that you could implement into this project? You said add on to it. Anything off the top of your head or?
Yeah. So when I was reading reviews for some like somewhat similar products, specifically for like the quick drop one for HP, uh like I remember like one review said like, oh, like I wish you could use the app without like having it open, and like
Mm,
so okay, so that sounds kind of confusing, but I think like once like I get like this just base version working, I I want to bring it to like the next step by like maybe just for like an example, like if you send something from your phone to your computer, maybe there's like a macro to like or like some keyboard shortcut to just directly paste it in, like
yeah,
from the like I don't know if this is even possible, but like from like maybe like the most recent thing that you got, right? So just directly like you don't have to like tab into the application and then like copy. You could
that's
like just
cool.
straight up do it, or maybe like on the mobile side of things, like I don't know, like an iOS widget or something that just sends like the most recent thing from your camera roll, just as like a quick shortcut or like something like that. Like if you just took a screenshot and you're like, oh, let me just send this over real quick, you just click a button on the widget. Again, I don't know if this is even possible. I don't even know Swift, but one
Might
day,
be.
yeah, I'll have to look into that.
Week. This was fantastic. I did want to plug your own channels as well. So you are on Twitch as well, right? So let me
Yep.
paste your Twitch handle in the chat, and I'll also show it up on the screen. So this is Abik's Twitch handle in case you're interested in following what he's up to online. I think you said you play a lot of games mostly, right?
Yeah, been playing a lot of Valorant recently. That's been fun, but yeah,
We have a comment
maybe one
coming
day there's
in.
gonna be. Oh,
Uh, how did you get an opportunity to build something with MongoDB? I think you just went and seeked it out yourself, right?
yeah, pretty much. But yeah,
And you can too, JF.
What was that?
And he can too. I think said how do you get
Oh
an
yeah.
opportunity to? Yeah, you can totally do that too.
Well, Abik, Anaya, is there anything else that you want to add before we close today?
Nothing. This has been fantastic. Thank you so much for having me and for um, showing off your project. It was fantastic.
Yeah, thank you too for like obviously giving me the chance
Yeah,
to be up here.
perfect. For logistical stuff, just before we close out, go ahead. Don't forget to hit that follow button or subscribe button, depending on which platform you're watching from, YouTube or Twitch, and then hit that like button on the video, so that way it shows us some love. But tune in for the next stream. I think we're streaming again tomorrow in the morning Pacific time. Totally different topic. There are various streaming topics that we do at MongoDB. For example, I personally stream a lot of game development content, but I think tomorrow's is actually a MongoDB Atlas with the drivers kind of session. But honestly, I don't know too much about it. So tune in and see what else we have to offer. Till next time. See you later, everyone.